Carolyn Peck.
Say the Indiana Felines are better without Caitlin Clark?
Without Caitlin Clark, this team is much better.
Indiana Fever being a more dangerous team with...
The Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark.
I want to say this. I think Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play.
Just when you thought ESPN couldn't sink any lower, they're now pushing the idea that the Indiana Fever might be better without Caitlin Clark. Seriously?
How in the hell are they possibly better without her? How would the WNBA be better off without her? I don't understand why ESPN continues to butcher the cash cow.
The same player who's selling out arenas, breaking records, and carrying the league? If you believe Caitlin is the reason the WNBA is even getting this spotlight, drop a 100% in the comments right now. Let's unpack how ESPN is getting it all wrong, and why this anti-Caitlin agenda is not just false, it's dangerous.
The Dump finally has a star that people want to watch. They finally have someone capable of generating interest. Broadcast rights for the WNBA are extremely cheap. ESPN is making millions of dollars off of this league right now. And what do they continue to do?
It started with a single sentence, and suddenly the entire WNBA world was divided.
Carolyn Peck. What do we have to say about the Indiana Fever being a more dangerous team without Caitlin Clark?
During a recent SportsCenter segment, ESPN analyst Carolyn Peck said this about the Indiana Fever.
Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play.
I think Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play. That wasn't a misquote. That wasn't out of context. She said it clearly and confidently on national television. And within minutes, social media exploded.
ESPN is all about agenda, and I'm going to tell you why. It's the very same network that I have sat back, listened to them ramrod how great Angel Reese is down people's throats.
YouTubers called it clown-level analysis, fans called it agenda-driven, and many called out ESPN for continuing a disturbing pattern, targeting Caitlin Clark.
ESPN just found themselves in a heap of trouble after Carolyn Peck backtracks what she said about Caitlin Clark.
But the backlash didn't stop there. As the outrage grew, Carolyn Peck tried to walk it back.
I did not say Caitlin Clark is not valuable. She's a great player for those who only see Caitlin.
She tweeted that she was just praising the rest of the team and didn't mean to imply Caitlin wasn't valuable.
The Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark. That is a Carolyn Peck quote.
But let's be honest. Once you say a team is more dangerous without their best player, there's no walking that back. You've already thrown shade.
Crazy to me, once again, go back to my theory. I think that Stephanie White is trying to take the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands, bro.
And here's where it gets deeper. Some creators are pointing to a potential behind-the-scenes agenda. Peck, after all, isn't just an ESPN analyst. She was once the college coach of Fever head coach Stephanie White.
Stephanie White currently works for ESPN part-time when she's not coaching the Indiana Fever basketball team.
And Stephanie? She also works for ESPN when she's not coaching the Fever. So now fans are asking the real question. Was Carolyn Peck simply sharing her opinion? Or was she subtly pushing a message from inside the Fever locker room?
The Indiana Fever need Caitlin Clark to win games. The Indiana Fever suck. They're nothing without Caitlin. And the Caitlin Clark fans would rather see the Indiana Fever lose without Caitlin because it proves that Caitlin is good.
Because let's not forget, Caitlin Clark plays a read and react, ball-dominant style.
The team received tough news Friday afternoon. Star guard Caitlin Clark was ruled out again for Saturday with a lingering groin injury.
Is that I have to wonder, did this team bring her back too soon from the quad injury that then turned into this?
While Coach White runs a strict motion offense, and with Caitlin out due to injury, the Fever kept running that motion system. And suddenly ESPN analysts were saying it works better without her.
What she say? I'm not saying Caitlin is invaluable, but for those who only see Caitlin, for her to just throw that in there and kind of like only see Caitlin, basically call out Caitlin Clark fans, not right, bro. As an ESPN reporter.
It's not just a bad take. It feels intentional. And while all this noise is happening, ESPN continues to act like it's just basketball analysis.
The Dump finally has a star that people want to watch. They finally have someone capable of generating interest. Broadcast rights for the WNBA are extremely cheap. ESPN is making millions of dollars off of this league right now.
But let's be clear. When your top women's basketball analyst openly implies that the face of the league is holding her team back, despite record-breaking viewership, jersey sales, and all-star votes, you're not analyzing, you're targeting.
Ken Swift, all over it, man. All over it. We have Carolyn Peck back at it once again with the nonsense, trying to spread the narrative that now the Indiana Fever don't even need Caitlin Clark.
This isn't the first time ESPN has done this either. Years ago, they said the Lakers were better without Kobe, that the Saints should move on from Drew Brees, and now the same tired formula is being recycled, this time on Caitlin Clark. Only difference? This time, fans aren't buying it.
Clark has appeared in 9 games this season and is averaging 18.2 across 33 minutes per game.
Let's cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters: performance. Because despite what ESPN or any commentator claims, the numbers show that Caitlin Clark's presence on the court elevates the Indiana Fever.
If you take out the last 3 games that Caitlin Clark was clearly playing injured with her groin strap taped up, her averages on the season are 21.5 points and 9.5 assists and 6 boards.
When Clark is playing, the Fever's net rating significantly improves. In her first few games, the team posted a net rating of 11.9. Even during her second stint, returning from a quad injury that hadn't fully healed, that number remained at 5.5 before eventually climbing back to 11 once she found her rhythm again.
The Indiana Fever, with and without Caitlin Clark. First 4 games of the season, net rating 11.9. Without Caitlin Clark, net rating drops to 2.6. Ooh.
Without her, however, the net rating drops to just 2.6. That's not a small decline. It's a massive difference that reveals her real-time value. And it's not just net rating. The team's plus-minus when Clark is on the floor is a clear indicator of her impact.
Caitlin Clark in those 3 games, net rating at 11, net rating at 5.5 in 5 games with Caitlin Clark when she returned from her quad injury that has not yet healed and still hasn't healed, and then it goes up to 11.
With her, the Fever were a plus 9.3 in her first stretch, then a plus 4.0 after returning from injury, and eventually climbed to plus 8.3.
First stint with Caitlin Clark, when it comes to plus and minus, the team is a plus 9.3. And then without Caitlin Clark for the next 5 games, only positive 1.8.
Without her, the number falls to just plus 1.8. These aren't opinions. They're measurable results. Beyond the stats, Caitlin's presence fundamentally changes how opposing defenses respond.
It's because they got an agenda. Let's just be real. It's a woke network, and they hate straight white women. There, it's out. I said it out loud.
She's a gravity player, drawing double teams, pulling defenders far beyond the arc, and opening up space for her teammates. Kelsey Mitchell's scoring bursts, Aaliyah Boston's efficiency in the paint, much of that is a result of Caitlin stretching defenses and making smart reads that allow others to shine.
They're 4 and 5 against the worst teams in the league without Caitlin Clark. And they're 5 and 4 against the best teams in the league with Caitlin Clark. Like, what are we doing?
She creates opportunities simply by being on the court. Even the Fever's offensive tempo tells a story. When Caitlin plays, the team takes significantly more field goal attempts. In her first 4 games, they averaged nearly 74 shots per game. Without her, that number dropped to 59.6.
They ranked the Roo from Waterloo as the 9th best guard in the league. Not the 9th best player, which would still be blasphemous. WNBA Dump Divers ranked Caitlin Clark as the 9th best guard in the league.
Once she returned, it climbed back to 70 before dipping again during her absence. That's not a coincidence. That's the result of a player who brings pace, urgency, and rhythm to the offense. And let's not forget, she's doing all of this while battling injuries.
Stephanie White did talk about Caitlin Clark's injury.
Patient that she might be available tomorrow.
Well, we went through semi-live shooting drills. I mean, it wasn't really live; it was semi-live shooting drills. Still hasn't gone full speed in a practice or a live defensive group, but she's been getting some 3-on-3 work, on her own. So, I think the biggest thing is, she's stated she's not a fan of minutes restrictions. If there's going to be a minutes restriction, maybe we'll hold her another game. But it's evaluating her again in the morning, seeing what she's done with, however many days there have been of more loading, and make a decision from there. But again, I prioritize the long-term, her long-term health and wellness, and making sure that when she comes back, she's 100%.
Caitlin has been playing through both quad and groin issues, still averaging over 18 points per game, while logging more than 33 minutes per contest. For any rookie, that's impressive. For one constantly under a microscope and in a system that doesn't fully suit her strengths, it's remarkable.
Ken Swift, all over it, man. All over it. We have Carolyn Peck back at it once again with the nonsense, trying to spread the narrative that now the Indiana Fever don't even need Caitlin Clark.
This idea that the Fever are better without Caitlin Clark is not just wrong, it's lazy. Her contributions go far beyond the box score. She makes the game easier for her teammates, she forces opponents to adjust, and she gives Indiana a real identity.
Now, this same person, right? This same person said that Angel Reese was a better rookie than Caitlin Clark. I guess they were saying at this moment.
When she's on the floor, they look like a team that belongs in the playoff conversation. When she's off, they look like they're just trying to hang on. No matter how ESPN spins it, Caitlin Clark isn't holding the Fever back. She's pushing them forward.
I believe as long as they're running this motion offense, she can disguise it in sets all she wants. Caitlin Clark is going to struggle. It's just my theory. I believe when she come back, she might have 1 or 2 games where she's just electrifying. And after that, it's going to be back to what we're seeing. And that was her struggling from 3, her struggling to find her shot. It's just unfortunate, but it's not Caitlin Clark. It's the system that she's in.
While ESPN continues to push the narrative that the Fever play better without Caitlin Clark, they're ignoring the most important factor in this entire discussion, the system. The truth is, this isn't about Caitlin's talent. It's about how she's being used. From day one, fans noticed something off.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark, one of the most dynamic scorers and playmakers in basketball, was being placed in a rigid motion offense, one that didn't align with her read and react instincts. Instead of letting her create, push the pace, and read the defense like she did at Iowa, she was told to fit into a system that doesn't play to her strengths. Why? One theory makes a lot of sense. Stephanie White, the Fever head coach, isn't just coaching this team. She's also a part-time ESPN contributor.
You were at that game just now. Look, the Fever have been on a tear. They've won 2 in a row, a 25-point blowout of the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and then 27 against the Aces in this one. And both of those games without Caitlin Clark. How is Indiana getting this done right now?
Look, I think that Indiana is even more dangerous when Caitlin Clark doesn't play because she's a ball-dominant guard. The ball's in her hands a lot, so you know what you need to try to take away. But when you look at Indiana now, they've got so many weapons. And Kelsey Mitchell is playing out of her mind. Right. Aaliyah Boston. I talked to Stephanie White before the game. She said in year 1.
And as we now know, ESPN analyst Carolyn Peck was once White's coach at Purdue. Is it just a coincidence that Peck is the one leading the Fever don't need Caitlin narrative? Or is this about protecting a system and a coach, even if it means undercutting the star player? It's not just speculation. It matches what's happening on the court.
They wouldn't have even came close to beating the Liberty without Caitlin Clark. They wouldn't even have came close to beating the Dream without Caitlin Clark. Did you see what happened? Did you not see what happened earlier?
When Caitlin sits, the Fever slow the game down. Fewer possessions, more defensive focus, lower scoring. That's not better basketball. That's survival mode. The system becomes less explosive.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and 1 was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
But slightly more predictable, And when it works, ESPN uses those moments to say, see, they don't need Caitlyn. But look closer. The team isn't better. They're just playing differently, more conservatively. And when Caitlyn returns, instead of adapting the system around her, they continue forcing her into a role that doesn't maximize her skill set.
Because I bet you any amount of money, when Caitlyn comes back, they're going to be, Caitlyn, see, our system do work. Pass the ball. You don't need to be ball dominant all the time. We was winning games without you having the ball. That's what Stephanie White's going to tell.
That's not a Caitlin Clark problem. That's a coaching problem. Even worse, when she struggles because of injury or system fit, the media turns the blame back on her. Not the staff, not the scheme, not the rotations, just Caitlyn.
They continue diminishing the only player that people care about. Broadcast rights for the WNBA are extremely cheap. ESPN is making millions of dollars off of this league right now. And what do they continue to do?
And this raises a serious question. Why is ESPN, a network that profits from her stardom, helping to push that narrative? The answer might be uncomfortable. Maybe it's about control. Maybe it's about certain voices within ESPN and the WNBA wanting to keep the spotlight balanced instead of centered on the player who's earned it. But no matter what the reason is, the reality is clear.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Caitlin Clark isn't being given the freedom to lead the way she's capable of. And instead of calling out that issue, ESPN is distracting viewers with surface-level narratives that don't hold up under scrutiny. If the system finally adjusts to Caitlin, not the other way around, that's when you'll see what this team is truly capable of.
The leadership of the WNBA. How could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings. 4 million more, as I said, watching the women than the men. I think it's worth repeating a few times because it is such a stunning statistic, guys.
ESPN had a choice. They could have supported the rise of women's basketball by standing behind the biggest star the league has ever seen.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
Instead, they chose to question her value, promote misleading narratives, and fan the flames of division, just to stir the pot. But the fans see through it.
It's all about a basketball player who happens to be a woman. We'd never seen anything like that before.
The truth is, Caitlin Clark isn't just a good player. She's the reason the WNBA is even getting this level of attention. The sellouts, the ratings, the national buzz. It all starts with her.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey.
Trying to downplay her role or suggest the Fever are better without her isn't just wrong, it's dishonest.
I'm so happy I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
So if you're tired of the fake narratives in the media games, make your voice heard. Drop 100% in the comments to show where you stand. Because no matter how ESPN spins it, one thing is clear. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark a whole lot more than she needs them.